The lifestyle of an entrepreneur involves living your life in a way different from others so that you can achieve something that they don't have. Uncommon success comes to you when you do that, following the right path and following the things that work. In this interview, I get a chance to talk with John Lee Dumas. He has 1.4 million downloads per month. He reaches a lot of people, including me, in his Entrepreneur on Fire podcast. And in this episode of Agorapreneurs, you get a chance to find out the secrets to living your life the way you want.
Welcome to Agorapreneurs, standing for liberty and freedom, all done peacefully. Now, here is your guide, Terry Brock.
Today's world has a lot of opportunities for entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs are really the driving force behind our economy. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you proceed forward in the common way that people can do things with uncommon practices and be able to do it in a creative way. Well, there's a lot of ways you can do that. Matter of fact, interesting, years ago, we saw something happen that was phenomenal. A book came out called Think and Grow Rich, where Napoleon Hill, the author, interviewed many different successful people on what's happened. Today, we've got something that is happening with Entrepreneurs on Fire. One of the hottest podcasts out there today is one that I listen to regularly. And frankly, I love it. It's great. It's on there all the time. Found a special niche and really made it happen with that. And it is the kind of thing that can really happen. The inventor, the pioneer, the founder of this, John Lee Dumas, is the one who has put it together so many brilliant ideas, and he pulls it out of these people, kind of like Napoleon Hill did many years ago. And he's got a new book called The Common Path to Uncommon Success. It is phenomenal. You want to hear about it. And what better way to hear about it than to listen to John himself? He's joining us now from his offices. John Lee Dumas, it is wonderful to have you here, sir.
Terry, thank you so much for having me. Thank you for that fantastic introduction. And yes, we're coming at you from the EO Fire Studios here in Puerto Rico, and we are prepared to ignite.
I love it, that prepared to ignite thing, and the nation is going to love that. That your Fire Nation and our Agorapreneur Nation, entrepreneurs who live the Agora lifestyle. We're going to talk about it. And so what we're going to do is take a look at some of the things that you've said. I've been looking at that. You've got a quote here that I really love. Say, when you try to resonate with everyone, you resonate with no one. And that is so true. It's about finding that niche. You did that when you started Entrepreneurs on Fire. You were, as you say, you had the very best 30-day, every day a month podcast that was out there, but also the very worst, because you found a niche and you were the only one. Tell us a little bit about that and the importance of finding a niche in today's market.
Listen, everybody is scared about not resonating with everybody. They're like, well, wait, if I niche down into this tiny little corner of the market, I'm missing out on all these opportunities. So I'm just going to be broad and vague. And, I'm just going to get something out there that everybody could possibly buy because there's 9 billion people in the world. I don't want to lose out on anybody. That is a losing formula every single time. I want you to picture a girl screaming into the winds. Nobody can hear her. Nobody cares. She's just there being swallowed up by the chaotic noise that exists in this world. That is you if you try to resonate with everybody. If you flip it and you say, I'm going to be the best solution for a real problem in this world, you will win. Those people out there that right now, as I'm talking, are the best solution, not the second best, not the 10th best, the best solution for a real problem. They are winning at a disproportionate level. Because Terry, back in 2012, when I launched Entrepreneurs on Fire, you did mention, you were correct. I was the first daily podcast. I was the best daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs. I was also the worst daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs because I was the only daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs. I didn't just launch a podcast. I niched down into a business podcast. I niched down a third time into an interview business podcast and a fourth time into a daily interview podcast of the world's most successful entrepreneurs. I niched down till it hurt. And it did hurt because it was a lot of gosh darn work. But guess what? I decided to choose my hard, and my hard was working at a daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs. That was my goal. That was my focus. That was my niche. And I won as a result.
I love it. Choose your hard. Do you hear that? If you're an entrepreneur, you're saying, hey, I want to do that. Choose that hard that's there. Well, John, I want to ask you today, as you're starting, you've said it many times, if you were starting again today, what you did back then in 2012, even though it's not that long ago, but still an eternity ago, as things change fast, it doesn't work. What kind of entry barriers do you see today? And what kind of things do you see working today in a niche that would be viable to consider?
Well, when I niched to that third level back in 2012, which was an interview podcast of entrepreneurs, there was like 7 podcasts that were doing that. Like literally, that was the number. They were all better than me because I hadn't launched yet and I had no experience. So that's why I went the 4th niche down into the daily podcast, 10xing their quantity because they were all doing a once a week show. So they were doing 4 a month. I did 30 a month. And that's number 1, how I got better quickly. And number 2, how I differentiated myself in the marketplace and carved out my niche. That's how I won. Because I want to be clear with people as I kind of bring you into right now, 2021 and beyond. The reason why I won at such a high level is because I believe in that quote that the higher the barrier, the lower the competition. And I set my barrier so high with a 7-day-a-week podcast that I didn't have a low competition. I had no competition because nobody was willing to put in that kind of work to do what I was doing. It was everything. And there was an unproven concept because no daily podcast was ever making money back then. So I built a moat around my business. And what I see now, and this goes to that resonating with everybody type of thing, is so many people are building a low barrier, which means it's a good idea and they're having initial success in it, but it's a low barrier. So it's easily replicated. So guess what, Terry? Everybody replicates it because they see the success. They want to replicate it. The masses pour in and everybody loses, including that first mover advantage because everybody loses because you had a low barrier. How can you instead say, I'm going to be the best solution to a real problem, build a moat around my business, make it hard to replicate, and keep that first place position, keep that first mover advantage. That's how you're going to win at a disproportionate level. And it works today in 2021. It'll work in 2031, 51, and beyond because that's the winning formula.
JLD, that is gold, really good information. You're listening to this right now, entrepreneur. That's what you want to do. We're getting in mind with that. Now, here's another quote, John, you had. I really like this one. Your avatar is the North Star to guide you along your journey. That is real value right there. Tell us a little bit more about that, please.
Most entrepreneurs think they're steering the ship. They think they have to make all of the decisions, and most entrepreneurs are wrong. You should not be making these decisions in your business. Yes, you're the entrepreneur, you're producing the content, but when you come to a fork in the road and you say, should I go left or should I go right? It's your avatar. It's the perfect listener. It's the perfect consumer of your content. It's the perfect client and customer for your products and services. Who is that avatar? Who is that perfect individual for you and your business? That person tells you, should you go left or should you go right at the fork in the road? You don't make those decisions. Listen, I wasn't the perfect listener for Entrepreneurs on Fire, like especially 5 years into my business because I was running a multi-million-dollar business for multiple years in a row. I wasn't that entrepreneur that was just getting started. So why would I be making those decisions? But my audience avatar was Jimmy, and I know Jimmy inside and out. I know exactly who my perfect listener of my podcast is. Every fork in the road, Jimmy makes those decisions. WWJW, what would Jimmy want? I answer that question, and then I go in that direction. So take the time, the mental bandwidth, the energy, maybe even the finances out of that equation when you're trying to make those decisions, and just ask that one question. What does your perfect audience member want? What does your perfect customer client want? Go there. That's the winning formula.
Wonderful advice. And an entrepreneur listening to this, think about that. That's what you need to do. I'm going to give you 2 things. One, get over to Entrepreneurs on Fire, subscribe to it. You are going to love it if you haven't already. And if you have, go back and review. And secondly, do what I did here. I'm going to move out of the way here. I bought this, pre-ordered it. Here it is. There's the proof. I've done it. And I'm eagerly looking forward to it. Already I'm valuing it because John's got a truckload of all kinds of goodies in there. And John, I'm not going to let you get away without letting us know how people can get that and some of the goodies that they can get if they pre-order.
Man, that is a beautiful looking book, brother. I really appreciate it. You're going to be holding this in your hands, except probably the hardcover version sooner than later. So man, you are awesome for supporting this book. And like you mentioned, Terry, there's not only the book that you get when you pre-order a $17 Kindle or a $25 hardcover version of this. You're literally getting 5 amazing bonuses. 5 amazing bonuses that all disappear, by the way, come launch day, because these are pre-order only bonuses. Just one of them, Terry, I'm shipping to everybody's door. My Freedom Journal, my Mastery Journal, and my podcast journal. I'm shipping them at my own expense to every single person's doorstep that lives in the United States. If you're outside the US, I'm immediately emailing you the digital pack, which is a beautiful digital pack versions of all 3 as well. There's 4 other insanely awesome bonuses too. If you want to check them out, uncommonsuccessbook.com. You'll get to see the personal endorsements from Gary Vaynerchuk, Seth Godin, Eric and Mandy, Dory Clark, Neil Patel. You'll get to see a video of me jumping in my pool with all my clothes on, plus then describing all the details about the book. You'll get to see all 5 bonuses. You get to see them exactly what you're getting, which are just amazing value. We made it such a no-brainer. And then you're actually going to get chapter 1 of the book too. I give that away right on that website too. So uncommonsuccessbook.com. Get a pre-order for yourself. If you're really a baller, get one for a loved one, for somebody who's in your mastermind that you want to see them get their version of uncommon success. Because Terry, that's what this book is. It's a 17-step roadmap to financial freedom and fulfillment. I'm a military guy. I was in the Army for 8 years. Listen, this is a step-by-step process. I went to the uncommon success, which is the goal, and I did a backwards planning process that I learned in the military, and I implemented it into this 17-step roadmap that will get you to your version of uncommon success.
17 steps, just like Napoleon Hill had his 17 steps. And we know there is a lot of wisdom there. And so my friends listening to this, you want to take advantage of it. Ben Franklin said it very well. Pour the coins of your purse into your mind, and your mind will overflow your purse with coins. And now you've got an opportunity. Invest in this, invest in yourself, and it's good. You're hearing some, as John likes to say, value bombs from JLD and TLB on this particular broadcast. John, before we let you go, any final words?
Listen, there's a quote from Albert Einstein that literally reached out of the pages of the book I was reading and slapped me in the face, because I was headed down a tough path. I was 32 years old. I didn't know why I was having so much struggle. I didn't know why I wasn't finding success. This quote literally spoke to my soul and shook me and pointed me in the right direction. And that quote is, try not to become a person of success, but rather a person of value. In TLB, I wasn't being a person of value in any way, shape, or form. So it was obvious to me after reading that quote why success wasn't finding me, because I wasn't doing anything of real value. And it never dawned on me, literally. I was 32. I had to learn that the hard way. And so if you want to follow in my footsteps of becoming a person of value, following in Terry's footsteps, in Albert Einstein's footsteps, in Napoleon Hill's footsteps, we all were persons of value. This book is comprised of the 3,000 interviews I've done with people who became people of value first and foremost. And when you become a person of value, success finds you. And that's the key. That's the process. It planted a seed in my head back in 2012 that led me to launch this podcast, which was a daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs that was doing nothing but delivering free, valuable, and consistent content every single day. I became a person of value for the first time in my life. A year later, I started having that overflow of coins, as Terry shared with the Ben Franklin quotes. Didn't happen overnight. And this won't happen overnight, because guess what? This is a process. This is a journey. It's common. It's a common path that we've all been on, but it takes hard work. And if you're willing to invest in yourself, not for the book, not the $25 for the hardcover, your time, your energy, your mental bandwidth, you will get to financial freedom and fulfillment.
John Lee Dumas, you continue to give us value. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you for being with us today, sir. And we wish you the very, very best.
Thanks, Terry.